Well, hi, I'm Brad Sugars, the chairman and founder at ActionCOACH, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here to the summit. You know, as an author of 17 books on the subject of business and wealth and investing, I guess it's my privilege to be able to teach. But what's more important is it's my privilege to welcome you to a summit where learning is a massive part of what it is that you're going to be able to do, and keeping on learning and keeping on growing is a big part. So I'm hoping you're looking forward to the next couple of days. If I can start with a very simple question. Right now, are you lucky? Right now, is your business going through transformation? Right now, are there opportunities abound? You see, a lot of people talk to me about this whole challenge that we're faced with, and COVID definitely did bring us a challenge. There's no two ways about that. But what it also brought us is massive opportunity. Your ability to adapt, your ability to move, your ability to leverage the challenges that are placed in front of you right now are a massive part of your success. And so when we go through what we're going to be learning here today with myself and with the other presenters and the other teachers, I think you need to be sitting back saying, you know what, I'm one of the lucky ones. My business is still good. My business is still okay. My business is still great. There are companies around the world that are definitely not in that scenario right now. But I look at it and I sit back and I think, wow, if I can learn to adapt to this virtualized world, you see, in a virtual viral world, our ability to change, our ability to move with the times, your ability to change, your ability to move with the times is what really sets you apart. You know, in normal business environment, you have to move pretty quick. You have to change pretty quick. In this business environment, you have to change so fast that you're going to have to dump old ways of thinking daily. You're going to have to get rid of old methodologies on a weekly basis. You're going to have to change the way you approach sales, the way you approach marketing, the way you approach customer service, the way you approach employing people. All of these things have had to shift in the last 7 months at such a rate that it's almost been like a year a month. So every month was another year of exponential growth, another year of virtualization of business. Geography has almost been removed. The ability to go face to face has been replaced with the ability for, well, you and me to be here together virtually, and for you to do sales virtually, for you to do marketing virtually. You know, all the things that have shifted, and your ability to change with that is quite massive. But let's take a look at change from a slightly different perspective. Leadership and change. As a leader, how well are you leading your team through this change? You know, during times of change and times of challenge is when real leadership is shown. During times of massive shift in the marketplace is when we sit back and say, dang, how have I been doing as a leader during this? You know, leaders have to be up front right now. They have to be out front. They have to be videoed. They have to be seen. They have to be the person they need to be so that the team stays strong. It's a challenge for your team during this time frame. They don't know what's happening. There's a lot of challenges. Their lack of information is never perceived in a positive way. So are you as a leader keeping them reassured? Are you as a leader keeping them focused? Are you giving them something to focus on every day, every week, every month? Are you keeping them challenged? Are you keeping them focused on goals? You know, and for yourself personally, how are you keeping your head in the game? What knowledge are you acquiring every day, every week? How are you staying focused? All of these challenges of leadership come down to really 3 main things during this time frame. The first of them is vision. Where are we going? What is it that you're doing? Where are you taking your people? What's the vision? You know, people cannot score a goal if they don't know where the goalposts are. So keeping a goal in front of your people, keeping a vision in front of your people, keeping them focused on the high end, where we're going, rather than looking down and tripping over little pebbles type thing. If you don't keep your people focused on massive futures, if you don't keep your people focused on where they're going, then of course they get down in the dumps. Of course they go backwards. So think about what you're doing to communicate the vision of your organization, to communicate the goals, and to keep those goals in front of people in a measurable, meaningful way. The second thing I think leadership comes down to is that word I just mentioned, meaning. Where is the meaning in today's world? And if it's just about making an extra dollar, if it's just about making an extra sale, then a lot of the meaning gets lost. You know, in this world where first and foremost, this is a human crisis. In a world where people are feeling more and more alone, in a world where people are feeling more and more fear, worry, doubt, the meaning that you bring as a leader. And that's not just meaning to your staff, it's meaning to your customer base, it's meaning to your community. What are you doing to add meaning to everything we're doing here today? How are you actually bringing that out? Because as I talk about in this book here, Pulling Profits Out of a Hat, as I talk about in that book, there's a section of your business called mission, and we will get into the 5 disciplines that are in that book during our session here today. But if you take a look at the segment or the discipline of mission, the discipline of mission is really strong when it comes to you helping your people understand the meaning behind the work they do, and it helps your customers understand the meaning behind doing business with you. If there's no more meaning, if there's not a mission behind what we're doing here, then you don't build community, you don't build a tribe, you don't build followers or raving fans or advocates of your business. You know, the word love, I use that in the book quite a lot. And the reason I use the word love is very, very simple. If your customers don't love doing business with you, then you're in a challenge. If your staff don't love coming to work, then you're not going to see the exponential growth that your business needs. And especially in times of adaptability, in times of crisis, challenge, or change, you need to make certain that there is meaning behind every piece of work that you and your team are doing. You need to make sure that that level of desire to do business with you is more than just about a transaction. You know, anyone can be transactional, and it's like people say to me, why are we seeing the death of retail? Because there's no experience in retail shopping anymore. It used to be fun. It used to be something you could do. It used to be somewhere to go and enjoy yourself. And we've become so transactionalized and commoditized that people have lost the fact. You know, why do people love one restaurant over another? Because there's an experience of going there. There's a story. There's a whole fun thing about going to that restaurant versus just a normal restaurant. You get dressed up. You go and do things. You know, what's the story of buying from you? Where's the meaning behind it? Is there enjoyment? Is there an experience that I'm going to go through that I can tell people the story? It's like if there's no reason to Instagram or Facebook or tweet or LinkedIn post about the experience, then you're not giving people enough of an experience for there to be meaning or there to be something more than just a transaction in what they're doing. The third part of leadership in this day and age is the ability to see where we're going. You know, there's a vision of telling people where we're going, but there's also that ability to change, adapt, and not get stuck in your old ways. Leaders today need to, you know, the old theory of if it ain't broke, don't fix it is no longer valid. If it's not broken, you better break it. If it's not being done a different way than you did it last year, you better start thinking about who's going to beat us. How are they going to beat us? Because the challenge for every business in this day and age is that there's 2 young people sitting in a garage somewhere coming up with a way of defeating your business. There's 2 young kids in a dorm room. Do you know what I mean? There's someone somewhere looking at methodologies to beat your business, and you've got to stay ahead of the game. And to stay ahead of the game, you've got to be thinking about how you can totally renew, totally do things differently, disrupt your own industry, kill off your own industry. You know, it's said that real disruption happens when you work out how to sell what you sell for cheaper and make more profit. It's what Apple did when they took over the music business. They sold music for cheaper, but still made more profit. You know, when you start thinking of your business in that manner, you really start to think of, okay, this is a new way of looking at business. We've got to compete. And really, you know this and I know this, we compete on an international stage, and India has some of the best entrepreneurs in the world. And the fact that some of you don't try and compete on the international stage is one of the challenges that India faces. You know, you see India as your market rather than the global marketplace as your market. And you know, that is one of those challenges. So stay strong in leadership, be out front, make sure that you understand that. The second area I want to look at adaptability is within the entire business you're in. If you look at the 2 main areas of the 5 disciplines in pulling profits, strategy and business development really overlook that. When you look at strategy, a business's strategy is really all about sitting down and looking at 4 areas. Number 1 is leverage. Number 2, scalability. Number 3, marketability. And number 4, opportunity. Let's first of all deal with leverage. My definition of the word leverage, its mathematical formula is divide to multiply. I first learned it by understanding the term more with less. The way I teach it, though, is by simply sitting down and saying, do the work once and get paid forever. So let's look at that from a couple of different angles for your business. First of all, owners work versus employees work, or managers work and leaders work versus employees work. Employee work, you do the work once and get paid once. So if you're in the hairdressing business, you cut the hair one time, you get paid one time. Management or ownership or leadership work is where you do the work once and get paid long term, like you train an employee, you build a system, you build a plan, you develop a marketing system or a sales system and build on a new customer that stays long term or forever. Owner's work is do the work once and build a business that works so you don't have to. That's my definition of a business, a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. I hope you're taking good notes here today. We're covering a lot of ground. Maybe you'll have to go back and re-watch this video to make sure you get all of the notes, or buy the book and read the book, I guess is probably the easiest one. Jump on Amazon and make your purchase. So do the work once, get paid forever. Let's look at your product or service. Is your product or service something where someone signs up one time and they buy for the rest of their life? Or can they do that? Or can you find a way to make that your offer? If you take a look at it from not just that, but you take a look at it from the business model. Now, I mentioned Apple going into the music business earlier. Apple doesn't make the music. They don't make a song once and sell it once. Apple doesn't make any music whatsoever. They're a platform in the music business. So every piece of music ever made, they make money off of. They did the work once of getting a customer once. They've now signed them onto originally they sold you the music. Now they don't even sell you the music. They sell you a subscription to the music. And hey, presto, you pay every month for that subscription. And so there's many different things that we can look at with leverage. Scalability, my definition there is the next sale costs less and is easier. In other words, as you grow the business, it gets easier, not harder to grow the business. Customer number 1 was the hardest one to get, customer 1,000. As the business grows, it gets easier. The next sale costs less and is easier is your scalability. So looking at your strategy from that perspective. By the way, if any of this you're struggling with it, please meet with your local action coach, have a chat with them and find out more about it. Or maybe you want to do what I do and you want to become an action coach. Have a chat to the team about that. We'd love to chat with you about that. So the third area being marketability. In other words, the product or service sells itself. What would I rather be in the business of? Something that's an easy sell or something that's a hard sell? Of course, I want to be in the business of something that sells itself. And the fourth area being opportunity, the size of the market. There's no use opening a business where it's a small market. So in these times, if you're going to change and you're going to look to leverage better, well, you need to look at products or services where you can leverage more and get better results. Get the customer once and they buy more often, or they keep coming back forever and a day. If you're going to leverage in scale, you're going to be looking at a business where it grows faster, is easier. The more you want to spread it, the business model may need to be different than the business model you're currently working on. Marketability and opportunity have got to be a part of your decision making if you're going to flex, if you're going to pivot, if you're going to change and take advantage of or leverage the challenges that are out there in the marketplace right now and take advantage of them. Then looking at business development. Now, your business development is really made up of 3 areas of your business: your marketing, your sales, and your customer service. So to me, marketing's definition is the buying of lifetime customers. So marketing is an acquisition process. You buy customers. How much you spend to buy a customer is really the determining factor. And so if you go and buy a customer, if say for instance, actually I was talking with one of my marketing managers today, and they'd spent $48,000 in marketing this month, and for $48,000 they'd acquired 39 new customers. So each customer cost around $1,200 to buy that customer. Now each customer spends about $75,000 with us, so $1,200 out to get $75,000 back in. Our marketing is a good investment, and if you know marketing well, it will be a good investment. So studying marketing is a big part of the real growth of your business and taking advantage of the market right now. Has marketing shifted? Yes, absolutely it's shifted. Marketing has had to go more virtual and more viral. Marketing has had to understand that testimonials and ratings and rankings are far more important now than they've ever been before, because people are doing more searching. Your website has to be more in depth and more thorough than it's ever been before. And so we need to make certain of that in this day and age. Sales is either sped up dramatically in this virtualization or it's slowed down. And by sped up, it means if you're selling a product or service, like if you're in the acrylic perspex business right now and people need shields, boom, they'll buy it. It's not really a matter of how much or can I negotiate, it's can you get it for me? Yes, so sales is sped up from that front. But for the non-essential products and services, sales has generally slowed down. People are taking one or two more steps in the sales process to make their buying decision because, well, let's be blunt about it. There's more fear, there's more worry in the marketplace. They can't get face-to-face with you in many cases, so they don't get to shake your hand and get to have a gut feel for you as a business person and do I want to do business with you? So there's so much from that perspective that you've got to be aware of and you've got to take advantage of that in sales. And this is why salespeople need testimonial videos right now. Salespeople need ratings and rankings and just so you can build trust with people, you need your customers telling them how good you are, not just you sharing how good you are. And then your customer service aspects. Well, in a virtual world, customer service has had to become, I like to think of it in a simple way. We've gone from where email was good to now where physical mail, actually doing a handwritten postcard to your best customers has become amazing right now because they're so used to getting everything on email. To actually get some lumpy mail, to actually get a piece of physical mail is quite amazing right now. And so your customer service has had to go more virtual as well. And that's why those simple little things you used to be able to do very easily now have to be changed so that you can be seen as giving great customer service in this world. It's no good just cleaning your store or cleaning your office. You have to be seen to be doing that. You actually have to have it done during people being there. You actually have to see these things happening. So the world has shifted and you've got to take advantage of these shifts. The market has opened up. Some of your competitors have gone out of business. And what does that mean? Their customers are looking for someone else to buy from. Customers are looking to buy in different ways, in different numbers, in different amounts nowadays. And so you've got to be taking advantage of that. There are products and services similar to what you're doing that are selling very, very well. And if you're not in that market, you need to shift to be in that market right now. And that's just a big part of what's happening out there in the marketplace. I'll give you a simple example behind that. One of our clients was in the steel construction business, saw that there's massive sales of barbells and dumbbells during this period because people are installing home gyms. Well, they went into that business. It wasn't their old business, but now they're in that business and they're doing very, very well out of it. It's still manufacturing out of steel. It's still the same core business, but it's just a different product or service. So they had to think differently in order to be able to take advantage of the market that is there right now. Are you thinking differently? Are you out there doing that? The next of the 5 disciplines, let's go to discipline number 4, that of execution. Execution is really about 3 main aspects: management, planning, and systemization. Management is a lost art in this world, and I see that, and I know that in the last summit I did a whole session on management versus leadership. If you haven't seen that, maybe jump on my YouTube or my Facebook where I have a whole video segment there on management versus leadership. If you just Google Brad Sugar's management versus leadership, I'm sure you'll be able to find that. And then you look at the execution aspect of planning. Well, in this day and age, the long-term plan has become less and less necessary, and the short-term planning has become more and more necessary, especially if you're still working virtually with your staff. That daily planning and daily reporting has had to change dramatically. Where you could see what people were doing before and you could oversee and look at what's happening, now you can't do that in a virtual world, and you're doing it less and less. So a lot more daily planning and daily reporting has been necessary to get execution to the level it used to be. Again, if you need help with that, chat with your action coach. I'm sure they can help you with getting that in play. And finally, the aspect of systemization. When I wrote my book, Instant Systems, I really had to sit down and help people understand my philosophy. And my philosophy is this: systems should run a business, people should run the systems. You know, you shouldn't have to rely on the best people, you should rely on the best systems, and you should have good people that become great because you have great systems. And when you see a business that isn't systematized, I'll give you a simple example. I was chatting with someone the other day and they were telling me how their people weren't delivering with the level of consistency of performance that they wanted. And you know, when there's lack of consistency, there's a lack of system. And I asked them, well, good, show me the checklist that your people have to follow to do that task. And of course, they didn't have a checklist, did they? And so when you think about that perspective, not having a checklist, not having the most basic form of systemization that exists, is really saying to your people, well, I need you to perform amazingly well. And you know, people can't outperform their training, and we'll get to discipline number 5, people, to finish out our session here today. But ultimately, if you're looking at high-level execution, you need checklists in place. You wouldn't get on an aeroplane if the pilot hadn't followed the pre-flight checklist and the pre-takeoff checklist. And do you know what I mean? If you want performance that is consistent and always successful, you need checklists in place. And there's no more fundamentally simple way to define systems than at least having a checklist that people can follow. So if you look at those first 4, mission, being on task and knowing where we're going, and a love for doing business; strategy, making sure our business model is strong and our business that we're in is strong; business development, making sure that our marketing, sales, and customer service are strong; the execution side of it, that our people, that our planning side of it, and that our systemization and that our management of our people is strong. And then we take a look at discipline number 5, that of the human beings in your organization. You know, people are either your greatest asset or they're your biggest challenge. People are either the winning part of your business, the winning formula, or they're the thing that means, hey, this is going to be a big challenge for us. And when it comes down to people, it really does come down to a simple philosophy. And that is that your people, well, you don't run your business, your people do. You have to build your people so they can build your business. If you build the humans, they build the business. And I said earlier, they can't ever outperform their training. And that's why management, in the execution segment, management is about 2 main things, and that is competent, productive people. If you build competency and you build productivity, then you're doing good management, and you cannot manage what you do not measure. But on the flip side of that, leadership, as we started out this whole session today, leadership is really also about 2 things, and that is passionate, focused people. If your people have a high passion for what they're doing, that mission, the being on track and doing it, and they're very focused, they have the goals, they know where they're going, they know what they need to get done, then we see good leadership. But leadership is not enough to get great people. We've got to have good, solid recruitment, good, solid induction. We've got to have good training programs that the managers need to make sure are happening with the people. And so when we sit back and we look at building people, we have to understand something that it took me a while to learn, but I remember at about 20 years of age, or maybe 21, going to my dad, who was a very experienced businessman, and saying to him, Dad, you know what? I just can't get good people. And my dad looked me fair in the eye and he said, son, in business, you get the people you deserve. And I sat and thought about it for a second. I said, well, hang on, what do you mean? He said, well, if you're an average manager running an average business, the highest caliber of employee you're going to get is average. If you're a great manager running a great business, then you start to get great employees wanting to work for you. You see, great people don't want to work in average companies. Great people want to work in great companies to achieve amazing things, or great things, I guess is probably the word. And so I had to really sit back and look at it and say, well, am I a great manager? Am I a great leader? Do I need to develop my management skills, my leadership skills, in order to become the type of person that these people want to work with and want to work for? It's always been said that people don't leave companies, they leave managers. A bad manager and a bad leader can scare away great staff. It's always been the case. But if you're going to recruit well and build those people, then yes, you need to be that very strong manager and that very strong leader so that the right people want to come and work in your organization. A company where, it's like training is a big part of management and coaching is a big part of leadership, and mentoring is a big part of leadership. And often I find business owners and business executives are like, well, I don't want to train my people too much, they'll leave. And I still remember an interview with Richard Branson where Mr. Branson said, or Sir Branson said a very important thing. He said, you've got to train your people so they can leave, but run a company well enough that they don't want to. And that's a big part of your success. Ultimately, the success of any business comes down to the success of the people. If you build the great people, they'll build a great company. How well you take care of your people determines how well they take care of your customers, and how well your customers take care of your business, and therefore how well the business takes care of you. It's kind of like a full circle. If you treat your staff very well, you build your staff, take care of your staff, build great systems, build a great operation, then your staff take great care of your customers. You can almost see it very well in companies where they don't take great care of their staff because the staff don't take great care of the customers. And it's like an inverse relationship, I guess, is probably the simplest way to put it. So ultimately, are there challenges out there in the marketplace right now? Absolutely. Is there change? Absolutely there is. And those challenges, that change has led us to the biggest opportunity in the history of the market, or at least the last 10, 20 years, since 2008 when the market shifted and we saw a massive shift in wealth from those who took advantage of it. India saw a massive shift in its place in the economic world because of the way a lot of your entrepreneurs took advantage of the 2008 global crisis. Remember, a crisis is really just an economic opportunity. Right now, you're faced with massive economic opportunity out there in the marketplace, and it's really up to you to sit back and say, well, what am I going to do in this opportunity? Am I going to let this opportunity beat me, or am I going to beat this opportunity? Am I going to take advantage of this? Go back to 2008. From 2008 to 2012, we saw companies that became massive global corporations. WhatsApp, Instagram. These are companies that were started because of that crisis. The Ubers, the Airbnbs that came about. You've got the opportunity right now in front of you to take advantage of this massive shift in the marketplace. There's been a shift in the global economy, not just a shift in your local economy. What are you going to do with that? How are you going to take advantage of it? Are you going to be challenged by this, or are you going to leverage this challenge and turn it into something massive for you, your team, your business, and your family? You've got to make that decision. How you face challenge is how challenge treats you. I see this as a massive opportunity for you. I see this as a massive opportunity for me. I know, and I have 9 companies that I run. And in our 9 companies, we had one of them that was fully shut down. We were government mandated to close. We have a restaurant here in Las Vegas at the Wynn Casino called Le Cave. We didn't have any opportunity. We didn't have any challenge. We couldn't open up. We were just shut. In my other companies, though, we found a way. 2 of them are absolutely booming right now, taking advantage of the market opportunities. Most of the rest found ways to survive the early half of this, and now they're doing very well during the second half of this whole thing. So your challenge is to sit back and say, what are our goals? How do we want to grow through this whole thing? Maybe it's time for you to do some reading. Yes, I've got 17 books for you to get started with. Maybe you want to jump on one of my courses, 30X, and follow through and understand my 30 minutes a day for 30 days of training. Chat with your action coach about it. Or maybe it's time for you to join us at Action Coach. Maybe that's the opportunity that's right in front of you right now. Either way, I want you to think of these last 3 things from a mental perspective as you go forward in this thing. 2 of them I was taught when I was 16 years of age by a gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn, E. James Rohn. Mr. Rohn taught me, and I quote, he said, never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. Never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. See, business doesn't get easier, you get better at business. Sales doesn't get easier, you got to get better at sales. Marketing won't get easier, you get better. All the different things. Leadership doesn't get easier, you get better at it. The second thing he said is work harder on yourself than you do on your job. As I get better, life gets easier. As I build me and I become better at business, everything else becomes easier. Same as your staff can't outperform their training, nor can you. You can never out-earn your learning. So learn first, earn second. That's, I guess, the biggest part of it. Final point. Your biggest number one job in life is to be the best you can be, to be the best leader, be the best parent, to be the best husband or wife, to be the best leader of your organization, to be the best entrepreneur. Your challenge is for you to become the very best you possible. And when you keep growing, when you show up, the opportunities will. When you show up, the wealth will. Become the person that builds that wealth. Become that person. Work hard on you. Be the best you can be. Everything else falls into place. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Keep on learning. Take lots of notes and then get to action. Remember, it's called Action Coach for a reason. Take care. Bye for now.